Okay, guys. I just recorded this entire episode and then discovered it was set to the wrong microphone on accident. So, whoops. I should know better by now, right? I should know better. We've had a year of YouTube episodes, we've had 2 years of these podcast episodes, and I have made that mistake in some of the worst possible times ever. So, let's retake this episode really fast. Let's see if we can do this in 10 minutes. The last one was like 15 or 17. So, cut some of the chit chat and we'll get straight into it. Today, I want to present you with a thought that I had, that I was reflecting on, that I was thinking about in my prayer time. And then, ironically, it was the verse of the day this morning. And I opened it up and I was like, that does not surprise me, God. Thank you. Because it was honestly it was one of those experiences where God is such a gentle God. He's so gentle. He's so peaceful. He's so calm. Wow, God is just incredible. I get goosebumps when I think about how amazing he is. And in the nighttime, I'll stay up and I will be thinking and I'll be praying, and probably way later than I should be. I should also be doing this in the morning time. I am doing it in the morning time, but the morning is more directed and guided. The morning time is more directed and guided and focused for me. So I was praying last night and I was really just thinking, I've been trying to work through some really hard life stuff, some big life decisions. And I've felt the weight of some of these decisions on my heart for a long time, but I've been scared of some of them. And so I've avoided them, but now I'm trying to come to terms with them, and they're personal. Those are just for me to know. They're not bad or anything. They're not like terrible things. It doesn't have anything to do with sin either. Just so you guys know, it's just where do I want to go in life? These kinds of decisions. Where is God calling me in life is what I've been trying to pray about. And so this verse pops up today, and I got to share this with you because this was something that was on my mind, and this is a very simple concept, simple idea. But when you really break it down and apply it to your own life, because I hate videos where you watch it, felt good to watch it, nice little dopamine hit, but it does nothing for your life. And you're like, that was supposed to be some sort of amazing fix your life in 9 minutes kind of video, and I feel like more dumb than when I started watching. And that's just bad execution of a terrible idea. But this one's not, and we're going to execute it well and swiftly with the proper microphone this time. So, all right, let's dig in. The verse that popped up this morning was Proverbs 16:9. And I knew this was Proverbs 16:9 just out of memory, which I'm proud of, because memory verses and memory recall, like multiplication, math memory recall, and memory verse recall have always been very hard for me. I don't really recall things or facts very well, but I got it, so I'm proud of that, and I'm going to share it. So Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. I want you to sacrifice 2025 to God. And I want you to do it without any hesitation or mental reservation, as they said in the inauguration yesterday, right? Without any mental reservation inside of me as I'm swearing this, as I'm making this oath. I am making it without any mental reservations in my mind, thinking in the back of my mind, fingers crossed behind my back. No, you're not doing that. If we took the approach more often of sacrificing things to God, something we don't really touch on a lot in Protestant Christianity, or just, I should say Christianity, as Protestants, I think we would really have a lot easier of a time with our lives and with the things that we do. I have been very involved in the Catholic space, the Catholic realms. I've had many Catholic friends. I live in a area that was founded by Catholics, that is dominated by Catholic population, and one of the things that they do is sacrifice for Lent. And sacrificing is an interesting thing because of the way that they do it, I don't agree with, but the idea is so close to such a good idea, and the way that it kind of was in the Bible. So close, but so far. But here, what we're going to do is different. I want you to sacrifice 2025 to God. I want you to say, Lord, I am planning my course in my heart, like you say right here, but I want you to establish my steps. I have plans. I have dreams. I have goals, I have ambitions, I have desires, I have loves, and I have joys, but I want you over all of those things because you are the one that made all of those things and put those desires and those joys and those goals and those things in me to begin with. You knew me in my mother's womb. You needed my innermost parts, right? The creative license of my life is yours. And so I want you to paint this canvas because you can see the bigger picture so much better than I can. When you zoom in on a canvas painting, you can't see anything. It's just like a blotch. It's just some blobs, right? But when you step back, you back up, you back out of the frame, whoa, suddenly this whole thing comes together. And there are some beautiful paintings out there. But you're not going to know that unless you let go of all the nitty-gritty details and you give those to God and say, you know what, God, you take care of the details, because just like Proverbs says, I am going to go and put my head down, few words, I'm going to do my work. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the work that you gave to me. Because we put a lot of expectation, and therefore we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I am so guilty of this. I am very guilty of this. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be something great. As my example, my testimony, I want to be great for God. There's some problems with that. There's a couple problems with that if you break it down. I want to be great for God. Where is this ambition coming from? What is this desire? In the previous recording I did that then had the wrong audio settings, I was talking about girls' golden glory and how that is a perverted version of the things that we were created to do as men, which is protect and love a wife instead of this lust after girls, to work the land, to grow, to multiply the things that we have instead of the gold that we chase, and then to be light for God, to be witnesses for God, to be sharers of the testimony of our testimony of Jesus Christ to other people instead of our own selfish vain glory. And so that is a perverse version of what we were as men originally created to do. And also, there's another dynamic where you either err towards being too passive or too aggressive, or both in negative ways, and you have to find the middle ground. Because in the garden, Adam walked with God, and he was in the middle ground. But when he ended up making the sin of being too passive and not guiding and protecting Eve properly, then that introduced sin into the world. And suddenly you have being too passive, being too aggressive, being a mix of both, because it's this perverted version of trying to be a protector, but you end up protecting your glory or your gold instead of your family, and it just becomes a big chaotic mess. But this year, we're not going to do that. We're going to say, no, I'm done with this overthinking. I'm done with this overanalyzing. Because instead of overthinking, I'm simply going to be introspective. Instead of overanalyzing, I'm going to take what I know you have given me, Lord, and I'm going to put that into this year. Those goals, those dreams, those aspirations, I'm going to work towards them. But the way that I'm working towards them, the heart of the matter, is that I'm not putting a set necessary on the outcome. It doesn't have to come out this way, because this is your dream that you've put in me for me. Like, he has the creative license to our lives. He created us, but he gives us free will. And so we can go and you can go and trash your life if you want to right now. You could go get yourself hooked on drugs right now. There's a billion things you could do, but you haven't yet. And so that speaks to me that you want something more than that of your life, which means you actually care, which means you're intentional about your decisions, which means the best thing you can do is, just like Solomon, say, Lord, I want wisdom. Give me the wisdom to make decisions to benefit you. Like, help me to help you, to help me to help you. Okay? Help me, Lord, so that I can help you in helping me. Like, show me where I need to go so that I can understand your plan for me, so that I can go and have a fruitful life, so that you can shine, so that your goodness can shine through my life. It's this step ladder that goes straight up to heaven. It's amazing. But if we submit, if we surrender, if we sacrifice this year to God and say, God, I'm not putting any stamp of what I need on the outcome of this year. I'm only going to do the work that I know you have given me. I'm only going to practice at the crafts that I know you have given me talents for or loves for. Then that takes pressure off. That takes pressure off of me. I can breathe again when I think about it in that way. But if I try to think about, oh man, you got to have an album. You've got to have a successful YouTube channel. You've got to write those books and publish them. That is like 3 lifetimes worth of work, or at least 3 different seasons of life, 3 different, entirely different projects, multi-year projects, mind you, all inside of one person. That's too much. I can't manage that. I can't handle that. And I don't have big enough shoulders to shoulder all of those. I don't have enough time in the day to do all those things. But if I sacrifice this year to God, then all I got to do is focus on where he has me right now. Like I said in the last episode, I made an episode about what I want this year to be, right? I have a whole episode on the channel about what I want this year to look like for me, for this channel, for you guys. But at the same time, I should say I have that video and I am not putting any sort of stamp of what I feel like I need on that. Like successful or perfect or simple, peaceful, whatever it is. I'm not doing that because if I do that, then I lose focus of the whole point. They say the man who loves to walk will travel 1,000 miles farther or whatever than the man who just loves the destination, right? It's about the journey, not the destination. You've heard that so many times. It's so cliche, but it's true. And Solomon also says, I can just sit here and quote the Bible all day, specifically Solomon and David and blah, blah, blah. But, enjoy your food, enjoy your drink, enjoy your good company, enjoy your time, enjoy the things you have, enjoy what God has given you. And continue doing your work from God. Life is a vapor. It's going to be gone in a matter of days. Like, I'm already a quarter of the way through my life. How did that happen? And my parents are like halfway, and my grandparents are, older as well. And it's like, what is happening right now? I remember when I was little. I remember when I was really little. And so we can't put pressure on the outcomes because it's never going to turn out the way that we think it's going to. That's something I've had to learn so many times the hard way, flat on my face, kind of in the mud, hard way. That's how I've learned that lesson. It's never going to turn out the way that you think it is. Even in counseling, that's been something that I've been learning too for anxiety. And, she'll say to me, she'll be like, see, again, another example. And she's a great Christian lady. It's amazing. And she's like, look, see, it doesn't ever turn out the way you thought it was going to. You play these things in your head over and over and over. You try to think of all the different outcomes, right? We're trying to prevent disaster. And so we overanalyze everything. But nothing ever happens that way. And in my experience, bad things happen. But when the good things happen, they happen faster and they happen easier than you would have ever expected, than you could have imagined, I should say. In my life, things have always happened for me faster and easier than I expected they would when they are good things, sometimes even bad things. But that is because it is the Lord's direction, and that is the Lord's guidance. Because when I try and do it myself, it is not that way, brother. It is the exact opposite. And it sucks. But you gotta be intentional about where you're putting your mind, about where you're putting your time and your energy. You gotta, I don't know, man, it's just like disconnect from everything and plug into the people that matter. Plug into the church. Sacrifice this year to God. Go to church every Sunday. Show up. Become a part of a community. Sacrifice that time back into the body of Christ. Sacrifice this year to God. Everything that you feel like you want to do, your free time, the way you spend your free time. Maybe instead of spending it consuming, you could spend that time creating. Sometimes you gotta just rest. You gotta stop creating for a day. We have the Sabbath. If it's something that fills you up, then by all means do it. But sacrifice this year to God. Give that time to God, those Sabbath Sundays and more. Everything you can think of, I want you to run it through the filter of, what am I doing with this? How is this involved in my sacrifice to God this year? That's what I want you to think about. Because when you start doing that, when you start thinking about, how does this benefit my walk with God? How does this benefit my year? How does this benefit my life in the direction that I want it to go as it pertains to my relationship with God? Who am I becoming? Is this something that I want to have in my life, in my memories, in my history, as part of my story? Maybe I want it to be something that, like, oh, that's the kind of story I want to tell at the end. But I have to make sure that that's from God first, and that that's not just my selfish desire of glory and gold and fame, you know? So think through that. Think about that, because that is going to be the key this year, I think, for a lot of us. My word of the year, people have different words of the year, but it's been interesting to hear different people that I believe and that I rely on talking about this, that are other solid Christian men hearing and talking about these things. And, one of them, it was rest. And I feel like that's the same thing for me too. It was funny because that video that he posted came out at a time where I was also thinking the same thing. So great minds think alike. He's one of the only other Christian people that do what I do here. And so my year is not rest in the physical sense, but it's rest in the mental sense. And I want you to rest in the mental sense too, okay? I want you to let it go. Put that burden down. Jesus says, put it down. Come, take up my yoke. My burden is easy and light. What is his burden? I just explained it to you, okay? So back the video up, watch it again, because that is what we need to be focusing on. And if we live every single year like that, imagine what our lives would be like if every single year we said, God, I'm giving this one to you too. Another one, another year of my life, of this life that you've given me. It's beautiful. It's hard. It's hard sometimes, God, but this is a sinful, broken world, and I understand that. And I take the responsibility of that sin that humans have put into the world, even though it wasn't my sin, but I am sinful. And so I will gladly take up my cross and follow you, because that is such a joyous life for me. It gives me meaning. It gives value. That's why people love the church, okay? One of the biggest reasons, the community, the meaning, the value behind it, the morals, gives you something to live for, gives you people, gives you connection. Like, yes, it does. And we need more of that. And I think if that's the reason that people are attracted to the church, to Christ, then that is a beautiful thing. That's the best reason that someone could be attracted to the church and to Christ, to ultimately give their lives to Jesus. So think about that this year. Sacrifice your life to God. Sacrifice this year to God. Start with this year. It's simple. You know what? Start with today. The rest of the today. What am I going to do? And then you just do that and over again. Because otherwise it's too hard. It's too hard for me. I can't, if it's so big, my whole life, oh my gosh, that's scary. That that pushes in on my chest. I can't breathe. But nope, just today. And then the next day. And the next day. Come Sunday, put it down. Rest. Enjoy Sunday. Go out with friends. Do something fun. Spend extra time at church. Hang out after. Get to know people. That's my favorite part of church, is after the amazing sermon with a good pastor, that you get to know the body and the community that are there. It provides meaning and value and context to everything in the Bible, by the way, because now you understand what the apostles are talking about, who they were talking to, that first century church. We can be the exact same church. We are the same church. We are the same people, the same body. I look around at all the people that I have been connected with. I was just thinking them through as fast as I could last night while I was praying, and Proverbs 16:9 came to my mind. And I mean, I was like, oh my goodness, Lord, I am so incredibly grateful that these are the people I get to spend eternity with. Because these people only you could have created. Only you could have imagined someone as beautiful as this. Whoever they are, older than me, younger than me, the same age as me, whatever kind of relationship capacity I'm in with them. Those are the people we get to spend eternity with. You and me someday, forever. Like all of eternity. You want to make sure your neighbors in eternity are amazing. And guess what? It's guaranteed that they will be. How cool is that? So sacrifice today to God. Sacrifice this year to God and just see what happens. Put in the work without expectations. Let Him establish your steps. You might be planning and plotting and charting your course, but I would challenge you to let that course actually be the course that God has for you. Ask Him, seek His will. What is it for you? And then go forwards with that and do it every single day. No pressure, no stress. That defeats the point. That defeats the whole purpose. The gospel is not stressful. The gospel requires nothing from us except for our thanksgiving, our appreciation, our love, and our joy in God. And to claim Him as our Savior, to claim the gift that He has given us. That's all the Bible asks of us. And He says, and then if you love me, you will obey my commands. Why? Because that's how you show that you love me. Because if you actually love me, if you love your spouse, your girlfriend, you're going to want to work with them, to do things with them, to live in a way that is respectful to them. You're not going to go around sleeping with everybody because you just feel like it. You're going to respect that person and you're going to say, I'm not going to do these things because I respect you and the relationship that I have with you. Everything you've done for me, the way that you love me, that I value more than these other things of the world, these gold, girls, and glory. Ugh. So do that this week. I challenge you, just this week. Check back in next week. I'll have another episode for you because I'm going to go record another one right after this. And I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. Drop a comment on this, what your goals are for 2025 and where you see yourself at the end of the year. Where you think you could see yourself if God guides you at the end of the year. If you made it this far in the video. So, all right, thank you and peace out. God bless you guys.